What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols. I am Mike Sparks. We once again have a lot to talk about as the on-season continues. First up, we're going to chat with Riveters head coach Scott Gibson. I am really interested in all the challenges of starting and running a W team, and so we're going to pick Scott's brain and see how that process is going. After that, we have a whole new tournament to discuss. The Jagermeister Cup is coming to the championship in 2025. We're going to share all the details and our thoughts. As always, you can find us on all the social platforms, including YouTube, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And we always appreciate a like and subscribe wherever you're getting this. You can email thoughts and questions to mongols3@gmail.com. With that, on with the show. Scott Gibson, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Doing some digging on you, you've obviously been the director of the Hounds Academy for close to 2 decades now, which like it seems like forever.
Showing my age here, Mike.
You still seem like a young guy. That's why I was like 2 decades. Wow. But, you know, most of that time you've been behind the scenes really kind of making a major impact on the youth game. Now, earlier this year, as we know, you've been thrust in the spotlight, named as the Riveters' first head coach in team history. Just what have the past few months been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. This job is always busy. I mean, it just always is. It's exciting. It's an exciting time for us. I mean, like you said at the beginning of the show, I mean, I've been here since 2007, so that is a long time. And there's myself and 3 other guys, Jason Cutney, John Rotz, Justin Evans. We all launched with the help of Gene Klein, obviously, the Riverhounds Academy, and it just went from one thing to another. And then obviously with the building of Highmark Stadium and Tuffy Schallenberger coming on board, and the facility we've got now, and we were just ready to take the next step on the women's side. So. Everything's been booming from an academy standpoint. We've positioned ourselves where we've hired some good staff that can free me up a little bit to do this. And now we've obviously got a pathway for our players on both sides, right? The men's side obviously into the Hounds, and the girls now into the Riveters. So it's been an exciting yet busy stretch.
For sure. What was your reaction when the role was offered to you after, being, as you just mentioned, being so central to the organization for so long?
Yeah, well, people internally said it was a natural shoe-in, I guess. But you never take anything for granted. Obviously, it's certainly an honor and responsibility that I'm ready to take. I mean, I've been around obviously for a long time, as we said, but especially on the girls' side of our academy, I've done a lot of different things. I mean, I've been involved with the men's team too back in 2014 for a little bit of time there with Nico Kadic, but the academy has always been my sort of bread and butter. And we had our first ever academy team, which was a pilot team in 2013, so 10, 11 years ago, which was a girls team. And then we got a little bit of a lead on the girls side from an academy standpoint for some reason. And obviously the boys side now is certainly caught up and we're there on both sides. But yeah, no, it's a challenge. It's a fun one because it's not often you get to build a team from scratch. It's not like we're inheriting a team and you've got to go through that. And some people are still under contract or whatever that may be. But with this, it's developing something from the ground up, which is always certainly a fun, but can be a daunting challenge.
You mentioned there the challenge. I'm very curious about your process and how you're putting this team together. One of the challenges is that, a lot of these players are college players, especially the players that have been announced thus far. I was looking, Tessa Delarose, North Carolina doesn't finish their finals until May 8th. And last year, the season started on May 4th. So from your perspective, what does that mean in terms of picking players and having time to sort of build out a team and a unit and get them all playing on the same page when you have such a small window to work with?
Yeah, I mean, it's a small window anyway, right? I mean, in terms of, I think it's 12 regular season games, which, when when we're building this team, and we're building a pool of players, Mike, to be honest with you. And it's because we will have the obviously W League Riveters team. In years past, we've done a USL Academy boys and girls team, so a girls team. So that kind of could be like a Riveters 2 team or a B team, let's just say that, because a lot of our players who, especially the ones who came through our academy program, they always, every summer, they want to come back and train anyway to keep sharp. So we'll have that environment in place. We're trying to build this team where it's a mix of a spine of the group of players that we are familiar with, right? That came through our academy and they're in college and they understand what it means to play here, but also, sprinkling that in with players who have not and who are maybe local, but also nationally too. I mean, we're on the phone with a lot of big schools, relationships that we have, obviously, because a lot of these schools want to recruit our academy players on the front end. So now but the challenge, yes. I mean, we know that some players will, especially the ones that are the big schools per se, they will be maybe a bit late coming in, or even at the end if we, get to the playoffs in July, that they may have to report back to their schools, which we fully respect, and that's their main priority, obviously, right now. But we'll have a pool of players that, for that exact reason. We've also got players who are in the academy at the 17s, 18s, 19 age group that we have, that are outstanding players that are still got a year or two left before they go off to college, that will be in that training environment. So we can always pull those guys up
Nice.
to sort of fill the holes. But in terms of the how we're going to play and the structure of how we play, that will, again, the girls that have came through our academy know kind of what we're about. But our job as coaches is always, finding solutions to things and planning, solving problems, that come up all the time in this job. And it's managing people, and it's managing people who are aligned with the same goals that we are as an organization, and creating that high level environment. So yes, it will be a challenge, but I think it's one that we can take care of.
It sounds like it's been a bit of a whirlwind since, first word came out that there was going to be a team, to now, all of the branding. Now you're building out the team, just so much going on. What has been your favorite part of this process so far?
I just think the energy within our organization as a whole. Obviously we've got the men's team, and Bob and Rob Vincent. Rob Vincent was obviously, he coached in the academy on the girls' side, so it's a really tight group that we've got. The thing that I've really enjoyed is with our president and sporting director, they're putting a lot, that's the same resources basically into this, from a media, from a marketing, from a merchandise, while it's pre-professional, and obviously it is pre-professional, this league, we do have the resources, because we obviously have the men's team to put into the Riveters, and that's been fun to see. I'm not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes saying, hey, this is a pro team, but we are going to treat it like that. And I think that's an important step in the journey of where we want to take this over the next however many years.
Love it. You had the team's first open combine this past week. What did you learn there?
Open combines they're fun. There was players of many different ages that came out to it, who were still trying to fulfill the dream of playing the game that we sort of all love, and that was fun. I mean, a lot of the players walked in. I think there was between 50 and 60 players, and it was such a mixed bag of people and from different backgrounds, and they were so nervous at the beginning. And I said, look, as the head coach, I said, I'll take the warm up, and usually the head coaches don't usually do that. That's usually your support staff. But I wanted to loosen them up, and it was on a Friday evening. And these girls are coming out to have a crack at it. And it was fun. They love the game, and they're not all going to make it, from an open tryout, and there may be just a few that fill the journey out. But we talked at the end, and whether they make it or not, they're going to be Riveters supporters, and they'll want to come to games, and so it was fun. It was a fun, but it was only step one in a journey of putting a team together.
Yeah. It was just announced that the Riveters won't be the only USLW team in Pittsburgh in 2025. What are your thoughts on entering the league with an immediate crosstown rival in Steel City FC?
I mean, competition's good. I mean, competition's good for anyone, and we say it even within a team environment. If you're a player playing in a position and you don't have any competition there, then naturally it's easy to coast a little bit. So no, I think it's good for the city. It's good for the area. It's good for the girls' game for sure. Pittsburgh is a large city, and there's a lot of players who want to play, and only so many players can play here. So to have that opportunity, at Steel City is good, and we know those guys well, and it'll certainly make it a fun couple of games, when the schedule comes out. But no, we're obviously just focused on ourselves, and we just want to make that environment here the most sort of professional environment it can be, and that's all we can control. So no, it's certainly good competition.
Awesome. Last question, and then I'll let you get back to all of the amazing things you're working on. Finish this sentence. When we get to July and the team's first season is over, I'll consider it to be a success if blank.
Well, I should say if we win the championship, but I'm not going to go that far in year one. No, it will just be if the players have improved and certainly enjoyed the experience. I think that's the main one, and have helped elevate the women's game in this city. And I think it's since we've built and I know I'm kind of tailing off here a little bit, but since we've built the academy and everything that's gone in over the last 19 to 20 years, I guess it's always been about doing it right, not rushing, but doing it right, and setting goals and short-term goals and long-term goals. So yeah, as long as we, that stadium in Highmark Stadium there is packed for games, and there's young girls not only in the Riverhounds Academy but also who play all over this great city. They have something to aspire to play, and they just for the love of the game. So yeah, to continue to elevate the women's game would be a big one for me.
Love it. Scott, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us. Best of luck as you continue to work your way through the off season. We are all really excited to see when you guys take the field with the team in 2025.
Mike, I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Joining me now, Steve Mattias, Josh Brokaw. What? What's happening?
It's been a while.
What is going on? How have you been, my friend?
Good. Been having a lot of vacations and events, and I mean, this we'll talk about later, but this week alone had like 3 holiday parties, and 2 of them Hounds related. So that was fun.
Yeah. I want to hear all about that. Steve, what's new with you?
Not much. Just settling back in after my back-to-back family visits, and like starting to feel like my house is my house again. Both visits were absolutely great. My parents coming up for Thanksgiving, and my sister and her partner here for a week for her birthday. I think I talked about that a little bit last week, going to the aviary and whatnot. But it's just like people in your space is different than your space being your space. So just kind of settling back in and getting more rest and not feeling like I'm entertaining, getting close to the end of the semester. So a lot of stuff with work is kind of like back and forth, like super busy days and then days where there's hardly anything. And that'll continue for next week. So today, spent some time down in the wood shop, working on some stuff and getting that all cleaned back up. And just kind of enjoying a slower weekend.
It's crazy. Okay. You and I are similar in so many ways that like, it's like every time you open your mouth and say something, I'm like, me too.
Like, when are we having woodshop party?
Literally. So I don't think that this is a spoiler because I don't think that he listens or watches the show anyway, but my family every year does a Secret Santa thing. So rather than us buy gifts for everybody, we like draw names out of a hat and you get something for one person. Mm-hmm. And so this year the stipulation was that whatever you give the other person, you need to make. And like my mom set like a $15 cap on like the supplies. Mm-hmm. I made my brother, not Jason, the other one, a end grain cutting board. So like I had scraps of wood and basically cut them up, glued them together, did the whole thing, polished it up. And so, wood shop.
I want to go back. Wait, you said not Jason, the other one? Like,
oh, I'm sorry. I meant not Kevin.
Oh, okay. I was like, I mean, not that Kevin ever would listen to the show much anyway.
Neither one of them are listening.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
We love you, Kevin, if you're listening.
He's not.
But you also mentioned your house sort of becoming to feel like your own house again, and you don't feel like you have someone else in your space. The big news this week was we now have another sled dog in the house, and we don't know for how long, maybe indefinitely. Okay. So we shall see.
How many are you up to now?
2. So we were at 2. We lost 1. Now we're back up to 2.
Yeah.
Totally different personality. Totally fills the space. Mm-hmm. A lot of like we came in on Friday. And like I said, it might be temporary. It might not. We don't know. We're kind of an in between at this point. But just not knowing what to expect and having a dog that looks like a mountain lion just roaming around your house is it's a good time. So yeah. Josh, I want to hear all about your holiday parties. 2 of them, 2 of the 3, obviously Hounds related. So you pick which one you want to talk about first.
I mean, I'll get the Steel Army one out of the way because there was no like announcements or anything like that. Not that there was anything at the Hounds event either. Spoilers, but more potential there. So yeah, the Steel Army one was on Saturday. A lot of fun. We had it down at the pitch on Butler. Good crowd showed up. It was a lot of fun seeing everyone. People signing up for next year's memberships, and at the same time as people are signing up for it, we have Peter, our intern Peter, we call him, working on the design for next year's scarf and graphics and that kind of stuff. So he's sitting there watching people sign up as we're like waiting for people to walk away, be like, okay, so what should we do for the scarf? How are we doing this? Like it's like it's happening soon, so we have to hurry up and get all the designs figured out. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, so that was fun. Good time.
Just to clarify, has there been any official determination on? I know there was some talk of like, does the Steel Army only support the Hounds? Do you support the Riveters? Does that play into the scarf design at all?
A little bit, yeah. There's
okay.
some touches there. So basically, part of the event, instead of just having a regular holiday party, we also had a I forget what EGM stands for. It's not emergency general meeting. It's something else. But anyway, it is a special vote. And so we ratified some of the bylaws to include Riveters. Because right now it's just everything says that we're a Riverhound supporters group. So we changed all that to add the Riveters in there, add 2 board members so that we have more support for people who are going to be more dedicated towards the Riveters. We just want to make sure we had enough people on board that would, we want a presence at both games. So if people are never going to the Rivers games, it's kind of like, well, then are we really supporting them as a group? Right. So want to make sure we have that covered as well. But yeah, so we did change the bylaws to include the Rivers in there, which is pretty exciting. And that is definitely playing a role in how we're looking at scarf designs and like just general media that we're producing. And yeah,
I mean, along those lines, I've been saying now, like all of our intro stuff, all of our like merch, air quotes merch, is very much Hounds related. And I'm like, well, 10th anniversary, we've got to get some new hats. Like, do we incorporate some red into it to like pull in the Riveters? But like, how do we do this as well? So there will be a new intro coming this year for the show for those who watch it, and there will be some other stuff that we're doing. But same thing, yeah. It's a fun problem to have.
Oh yeah, no complaints. It's awesome, and we're all excited for it. Obviously, the fact that we're already changing everything up, I think the expectation is that this is just a first step for the Riveters, and that we're going to have something fully pro in the coming years, not just semi-pro. So we're already jumping for that right now. So it's like getting everything in line awesome. For the future as well.
Good. And then the season ticket holder party.
Yeah, so Riverhounds had a season ticket holder holiday party at the stadium at Highmark, up on the second floor, where the suites are usually at during the games. It was a lot of fun. They always do a good job of feeding us and drink vouchers and not open bar, but a paid bar. And see, Robbie Mertz was there, so I got to talk to him for a little bit. Robbie Vincent was there. Bush was there. No, Lily wasn't there, and Jeff couldn't make it either, but we still had a good presence there. A lot of the front office was there, Grubba and everyone. So tried to get Bush to tell me some, like he did a little speech at the beginning talking about, how they're doing with the season and the announcements they've already made and what they're expecting, and kind of give a little recap of last season. And, I'm over there being like, oh, you're taking questions? Okay. How about Jackson? Like, are we, signing him? Are we getting there? Yeah. It's like, well, we're working on something with him. We'll see. But
interesting.
Yeah. So I just literally knew he was going to tell me if they signed him or not. But I was like, right. Is it a possibility? He's like, yeah, it's definitely, we're looking at Jackson. And I was like, okay, that's all. Like, I was just glad to hear that they were actually considering it and not just being like, nah, can't do that. Yeah. So that was probably the closest thing to announcement I got, but not much of an announcement at all.
It's funny you mentioned Robbie Mertz and Rob Vincent. It just made me think of there's a podcast. What is it? The Two Robbies with Robbie Musto and the other one's blanking on me from
Premier League
England.
coverage.
Premier League
guys.
coverage. Yeah. We could totally do a Two Robbies show and just have them both on at the same time. That'd actually be fun. I think that would be.
It would be
They both like I enjoy having them on here, and they're both good conversations. So maybe we'll do that at some point. The Robbies. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, good. I mean, was it a good turnout?
Yeah. I didn't get a count. Like I wasn't like looking for a count there, but it didn't seem like it was empty. Had some kids running around as well, so it was all ages event type thing going on. And Ammo was there. I forgot about that. Ammo made an appearance in a Santa outfit, so that was great.
Nice.
A lot of photos there. I think I took a selfie with him. I have to check my my camera.
It makes me think, last week we talked to Jeff. I want to get your guys' thoughts on obviously the Scott Gibson interview as well. But last week we talked to Jeff. I wonder if there has to be some point in their planning where they're like, okay, holidays this year, what costumes do we need for Ammo? And like they have a budget for Ammo costumes for like additional things that he has to put on over the year.
Yeah.
We might have accidentally ruined one of Ammo's jerseys when he came and celebrated a goal with us over the season.
Torch it? What'd you do?
Got a little bit too close to the smoke. That's all. It's fine. No one got hurt, but the jersey did not make it. So
did Ammo's melt too, or
no,
Ammo just the jersey.
Ammo was
Okay,
fine. It was
okay.
just the jersey. It was taken care of. There was nothing. Actually, forget I mentioned it. It didn't actually happen.
Oh man. I will say this is skipping ahead a little bit. I do want to get your thoughts on Scott Gibson. Just really quick, you mentioned Jagermeister. The one thing that we did learn player-wise is that Pat Hogan won't be back. He has signed for Indy. Steve, thoughts on Hogan to Indy?
Bob, why? It's just anybody signing anywhere, okay, whatever, right? Like players are going to sign, but you've got a guy that you relied on for 2 years as one of your main starting center backs. Why are you not trying to bring him back? This constant rotation, it's just like, it's so frustrating to me. And Pat is one of those guys, I think, that has the ability and knows the system that can bring stability and leadership at the back. And so now you're relying on guys that are not as experienced in the league. I mean, Luke is not a center back. And so you've got Sean, who has been playing really well last half of the season, but played mostly a half a season under Bob, where he was actually playing regular games. And if that's what you're relying on, like it's that rebuilding cycle. So I'm not happy about it. And it's not, it is Pat leaving as well, because Pat's a great guy. But it's just that turnover aspect that it's most frustrating for me.
Yeah, agreed. We'll see what happens. I mean, we always talk about how we expect some level of turnover. And I think that a lot of us kind of hold out hope, especially for some of these guys that have been around, that they could just re-sign on a new deal, but then it just stings all the more whenever you realize, oh, they're going to Indy. Or I think you dug up what Shane Wheat is now going to Detroit after being out of Sacramento, and like seeing these guys play in the East against teams that we're going to have to see twice a year. Well, yeah, that's just no fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sad. I'm not happy about it, obviously, but at the same time, I don't think the back line is going to be bad no matter what. I think Bob knows how to build a back line. I'm not worried about our defense. It sucks to see Hogan go, but I also think, has it been actually announced that we're keeping Biasi and Suber?
Yes.
Biasi was on the option, and Suber, their options were picked up. So okay. I agree with you, Josh, that the back line will be okay. My question is, how long does it take? Yeah. Are we waiting 4, 5, 6, 7 games into the season before the backline really starts to gel? And that's where the frustration comes from me, is that we're not bringing back the majority and the leadership in our backline, right? Do I think Sean will be a good leader on the backline? Yeah, but I don't think he's had the time to do that yet. And so how many games do we have to wait until we're seeing that again? And that's where I get frustrated and why I want to see that consistency, especially from key center back of the 3 center back positions year over year.
if they announced some more people that were on an option that we actually re-signed them, would that alleviate some of your fears, or is it just the fact that we lost Hogan? Like, I'm just going to ask you straight out: if Alal comes back, are you like, okay, we're fine now?
No, because I don't think Alal has the leadership that Pat has.
Yeah. But what about Kaye?
He's already gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
You're right, he probably is, but it wasn't announced. Like, he could come back.
Oy. Yeah, so that's sort of the latest as it relates to player news, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the Riveters. So you just heard, everybody just heard, and you guys have seen the interview with Scott Gibson. Josh, initial thoughts from just hearing what Scott had to say.
That's exciting. I honestly I didn't know much about him, so it was kind of nice to hear like a little bit of his pedigree and like what he's been doing. I kind of just basically knew what was out there on press releases and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have questions for him about like the starting of the academy, what it was like. Like, I think it'd be really cool to like pick his brain a little bit more on that. We'd never interviewed him for the academy stuff. I know we've had interviews about the academy, but not with him.
That was his first time on. Yeah.
That's my thought. So yeah, it would be interesting to kind of maybe dive into some of the academy stuff as well, just to see what that's like. I want to know how much Everton was involved, because I know they were involved with the academy, so it'd be kind of interesting. But like hearing that and where it's coming from, and just how it's working right now with like the open combine and the way he sees it with that bridge between academy and this league. This team, I should say, the Riveters, and like how that's going to work, and like bringing people back from college who were originally in the academy and then left. All that was very interesting. So it gets me excited for it. And I also thought it was really interesting when he mentioned that the team, like they have at their disposal everyone from the front office. Yeah. Like, so they can actually use the Riverhounds front office, and like they're treating it like the same thing with marketing and all that kind of stuff, the merch and everything. And that is something that's going to be very different, I think, than most teams in this league. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if we're a step ahead of everyone or above as far as that type of stuff goes, and if that is how that's going to play out, because it's not the case for the Hounds. Like, if you think about where we're at in the totem pole as far as the Hounds versus the rest of the league, we're not near the top as far as, you know, money coming in and just production and all that kind of stuff. I feel like we're getting better, but we're not there. It would be really interesting if the Riveters are, you know, the opposite of that. Like they're the standard and everyone's trying to catch up. So I'm excited for that aspect of it.
That sort of piggybacks off of what you were saying earlier about the Steel Army and how you guys are already thinking about this as if it was a pro team. And Scott specifically saying, like, you know, we're not trying to pull a wool over anyone's eyes. This is not a pro team, but we're treating everything in the front office like it is. If anything, you know, one of the things that we've sort of discussed, you know, with my oldest sort of looking at colleges and things, is that some colleges feel almost like 13th grade. Whereas others feel like actual, like you're stepping out and you're doing things. In a lot of ways, the way that Scott was describing this, it almost feels like a 13th grade, in that we already have sort of these academy teams that started playing, you know, against other USL academy teams, and we're going to be drawing from players. This is just kind of like a step up compared to that, as opposed to sort of a full pro team. But yeah, the resource thing is definitely interesting. Steve, what did you think?
So, I mean, you talked a little bit about what I think stood out to me the most, which was referencing how impactful the structure of the front office for the pro team is. What I took away from it was what he didn't talk about. And that's 2 more players signed in the past week. So Bella Voser and Tannum Nelson, which is a lot of fun after we just talk about seeing Hogan sign elsewhere, but then on the other side of it with the Riveters, see a couple more players come in and see one of them be a Hounds Academy graduate, but one of them be from Vermont. And so that difference, right? Like that. And Scott did talk a little bit about bringing people in from not just the academy and bringing them in from elsewhere. And so I think that fills in that picture of what he's talking about there, that we're starting to see that with, 5 players now officially announced, and 2 of them are not academy players. So, if they keep up that ratio, I think that is really good. And I think that builds on what he's talking about wanting to build a really competitive developmental organization for these women. And for women that are not just from Pittsburgh, but also for women in Pittsburgh. I think the other thing that stood out was his really pragmatic take on how great it is to have Steel City FC in the league as well, specifically because he was talking about that same type of thing, about the opportunities for these women to have a chance to play, because the Riveters won't be able to do that for everyone. And so more roster spots in the city, more competition in the city, really great thing. And so that's fun. And that his attitude about that is like, yeah, this is great. Like, it's great people over there, and we're excited to have that little bit of a rivalry.
Yeah, agreed. No, the one thing that really kind of that made me go, oh crap, was I mentioned during the interview, looking at the fact that, Tessa, which was the first player announced, she's at North Carolina, and what I think I said, finals end May 6th, and last season, the season started May 4th. So in terms of Scott actually having we talk about Lily and sort of having time to build out his system and get these guys coached up and time for the season to start. Like, the season might already start, and some of these girls may not be there because they're literally still in school. And so how does that play out? And so I'm looking forward to talking to Scott again here before the season starts and sort of see where things are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting also. Like we used to talk about this a lot when Red Bulls 2 were in the league, how they have this play style, this identity, because they're really like all playing towards that one identity. And being able to see a whole bunch of the girls going into the women's league and be familiar with each other in that play style and the identity the Hounds have already in the academy. And if they can keep that identity in the Riveters, and if that is like more of a whole academy to pro style that we don't really have with the men's team, with the boys academy, because it's Bob's doing one thing and they're doing something else. And I don't feel like there's much crossover there as far as like a play style. Maybe they're making that, I just don't know it. But I feel like, especially with him being the head of the academy and going into this, we're going to have a through line with that. And it could be really cool to see if they can keep that identity. So,
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. I was thinking along the same lines, Josh. And I think of it more in terms of, I see this as potentially the organization having a playground to test some different things about how to make that jump from academy to upper level, semi-pro and pro, to eventually incorporate system-wide within the organization. And so for me, there's the potential for a lot of excitement in the long term of how do you go from academy to semi-pro, League Two to top level in the USL structure on both the men and women's side. And I think what excites me about that is one of the things that I think Bob, we have recognized for years, is how good he is at developing those first year professional players, or those young professional players. And so what does it look like to build some structure that helps that process along, so by the time they get to him or whoever else in the future, we've got some structure, and some of those players are better than they would have been if they just went to college and didn't stay in the Hounds or Riveters ecosystem.
It does make me wonder, obviously we have a USL Academy team on the guys' side, but would the program benefit from something like a USL 2 team that like the guys can continue training with over the summer when they come back from college? And does that give them a step up? I mean, it's the kind of situation where, I don't know. Just I'll just throw that out there. Like, that could be interesting. Maybe that's something we see in the future, and maybe that is a step in that direction.
I mean, I do think it would be important because of the fact that, like, if we're going to start getting more competitions, because they did announce the Jagermeister Cup, which is, hopefully they haven't announced the schedule and how it's going to work with our regular season, but this should mean there's more games that need to be played for the pro team. So I would think that would mean we would have to have rely a little bit more on our depth and have more of that going on. If you're going to have that, having a team like a 2 team to kind of be able to develop, and where a lot of players can still keep their skills going, be able to, trade back and forth, that kind of stuff, transfers. that could be very important. And I'm excited for we didn't really talk about the Jagermeister Cup, but it's
let's talk about the Jagermeister Cup, Josh. So
I just realized I mentioned, I was like, oh yeah, was that announced?
It was. Let me get through some basics here about it. So the league came out and they announced this week that the championship will be participating in the Jagermeister Cup. Now, for those of us in the championship, if this sounds new, it's actually not new. This is the second year that the Jagermeister Cup is happening. Last year, it was only in USL League One. This year, they are now incorporating the championship with it as well. And this is actually the first sort of inter-conference, inter-league tournament that's been done like this in America. So that's great. They have said that there are going to be fan first modifications to encourage attacking soccer, which I'm interested on your guys' thoughts about this. Specifically, that there will be penalty shootouts to determine match winners during the group stages. And the first tiebreaker in the group stages is goals scored. So we're going to come back to that. But just to talk about the structure really quickly, it's going to be like a World Cup, essentially. So the Hounds are in a group with right now 5 other teams. We will play 4 games, 2 home, 2 away. So that means if you're doing the math, there's 5 other teams. We're only going to play 4 games. One of those teams we're not going to play in group play. But then essentially the top team in each group, plus there are 2 wild cards, will move on to a round robin style winner takes all tournament. And then the winner takes the Jagermeister Cup. The teams that the Hounds will be in a group with are Detroit, Hartford, Rhode Island, and then from League One, Westchester SC and Portland Hearts of Pine, Portland in Maine, not Portland in Oregon. So they're all kind of regional. We kind of alluded that something like this might be coming. We didn't know the specifics of it. And Steve, I actually dropped your like little short where you were talking about it, like the day it was announced, and it just happened to like work out. Like we knew what we were talking about. We didn't know what we were talking about. We were speculating. Steve, what was your initial thoughts when you heard about the Jagermeister Cup?
I think that my initial thoughts is I'm super excited about it. There's some obvious things that you mentioned in there that I think are going to cause a lot of controversy, and I don't care, right? Like, let's go, let's have fun, let's support our team, let's support these League One teams if they come to Highmark. Like, have a fun time with it, right? Like, I don't see it needing to be in its early stages a prestigious cup to win, but I see it as an opportunity to have a lot of fun with teams we wouldn't be able to normally see otherwise. And so, yeah, like bring on some craziness. I love the idea of group stage penalty shootouts to put a team above the other. I don't know how I feel. I don't think I like it. Total goals scored. But whatever. I don't like, it's not that big of a deal. It's going to cause controversy, and then that controversy and drama will be a lot of fun to watch as it happens somewhere in some groups. And some teams will have more favorable opportunities to do that than other teams, and whatever, let's have fun.
Josh, initial thoughts?
I have no complaints. Like, I know, like, people may think it's a little bit controversial for some of those things, but I don't think they are. I don't think really it matters that much difference. What I'm excited for is I'm glad it's regional. It makes sense. It should be regional, especially, keeping in consideration budgets for the lower league teams, especially. Can't really expect them to be shutting out cash to fly to these other games. And also with it, though, is I'm wondering, I want to see the skill levels between, like, I'm hoping we get some cup sets, obviously not against the Hounds, knock on wood, but I want to see that happen and see the competition grow there, because I also kind of see this as them dipping their toes into Pro Rel and between the two leagues and being like, well, can it work? Like, can these teams compete with each other? Like, we kind of see some of it in the Open Cup, but it's a little bit different in the Open Cup because I do feel like those teams get weeded out much faster, and just like we're also getting weeded out really fast. So it's a lot different as far as that goes. A little bit sad that it's an imbalance in how big each or how many teams are in each league, because only having 2 teams from the lower division in our group, and like the likelihood is that we might not see one. So it's kind of sad. Be like, okay, so our 4 games might be against maybe all of them are going to be championship teams. That sucks. Like, I don't. What's the point then? So.
Well, and both of those League One teams are brand new this season. So, like, in terms of like competition, like, what's it actually going to be like? Who knows? We'll see. But that was going to be one of my questions, guys. So, they said that we will get 2 games home and 2 away. Of that list, which of those teams would you really like to see at Highmark? And which of those teams do you think you'd like to see away? So, again, Detroit, Hartford, Rhode Island, Westchester SC, and Portland Hearts of Pine. Josh, I'll let you pick a home one, and then Steve, you pick a home one, and then we'll do an away one each.
I want the home one to be honestly, I think all home games for the upper league should be against upper opponent, like same level opponents. I think the lower league should get the away games or get a home game against the top level, just to keep it kind of like what we talked about with the Open Cup.
Yep.
Same thing idea. People actually show up to that game, whereas if we play a lower league team, people might not show up at home.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is wild, but if we get Detroit, we'll play them there. We'll play them twice during the League Cup or during like regular league play.
Season. Yeah.
We could play them in the Open Cup. We could play them in the championship, like in the
playoffs. Yeah.
Playoffs. So that's a lot of times to play.
You can see Detroit like 7 times this year.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that would be the most fun if we play Detroit. Like that's, I love to see that rivalry type feel.
Yeah.
So I'd go with Detroit.
Steve, who do you want to see at Highmark?
If Josh is taking Detroit, I'll take Rhode Island for the other one.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Steve, where would you like to go?
I would love for the Hounds to go to Portland Hearts of Pine because if it works out in my schedule, I haven't been to Maine since I was like 8 years old, and I've wanted to go back to Maine. So I think I would go to Maine and go support the Hounds up there, and if it works with my schedule, and I would look forward to that.
That name too, like
it's so good.
Everything about that team just like exudes beauty. I think like the logo is spectacular. It's just I want to go see that team.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun too. I agree with that. But I'm not gonna pick the same one you did, obviously. So I'll go with the other one, Westchester. Know nothing about them. Know nothing about anything dealing with them. I just, like I said, I do think it should be the lower league is hosting the upper league. So however that works out.
Yep.
Oh, can I complain about one thing though?
Yeah.
We don't have Richmond kickers in our group.
Yeah.
Richmond kickers would have been so awesome to have an old guard team back and be able to play them once again. So
just wait a year or two.
Maybe in the next
teams
stage.
Come in and go out of the leagues. The groups will change.
I mean, maybe Richmond gets through and we play them in the next stage. So you don't know. Yeah.
That'd be amazing. In terms of timeline, they did say that the group stage is going to take place between April 26th and July 26th. So kind of the bulk of the season. This is just going to add, there will be 4 games there. So it's not like it's adding a ton. Keep in mind that we will ostensibly still have the Open Cup that we'll be participating in as well. But I think they said that they expect the final to be played at early October. So even once you get through July, you basically have 2 months for them to play the round robin style, knock them out tournament style with the remaining 8 teams. So I think this is going to be fun. This is going to be an interesting one to watch. They did mention, and this is interesting to me, that this is going to include what they're calling a shot at glory bracket challenge for fans. This might be nothing more than, pick what you want, pick a player, pick the teams and hope you get through. But if this is sort of a testing ground for the USL to start introducing more games, we'll say, for fans to participate in, like fantasy soccer or something like that gets fans more engaged off the field, I think that could be amazing. So hopefully this is something cool. It's not going to be full blown like fantasy, but if it opens the door to something like that, fantastic. I think that's great.
There is some breaking news, some maybe unconfirmed news. Someone asked the Switchbacks about the schedule, how's this going to work? And the Switchbacks official account said the USL Championship regular season will be a total of 30 games. The 4 Jagermeister games will be 4 games sprinkled in throughout the season. If you keep in mind what we had last year, we had 34 games last year. So they might not be extra games. These might just basically taking the place of some. Now, again, this is like just some intern at the Switchbacks commenting on a Facebook question. But if that's true, that sucks. I don't like losing league games for the Jagermeister games. Like I don't think that really is all that cool. Although it wouldn't probably change our conference. Like it wouldn't be like we don't play home and away every single team in our division, like in our Eastern Conference. It would probably just mean we have less West Coast games.
Yeah.
Which it's already kind of weird with the West Coast. Like having everyone play one game against a West Coast team, and then it could be home or away. That was never really fair to begin with because it depends on which home and which ways happen. Right. So interesting.
I wonder if that makes it easier for the league to balance the schedules for the East and the West.
Well, the other theory is, since they haven't announced the schedule, if there's this mythical third division that might be happening, or third conference, maybe we won't see East and West. Maybe there'll actually be a third, like Central Division or something, or a conference or something like that.
I mean, they keep expanding, and Lexington's joining in theory the East this year. Brooklyn was supposed to, but it sounds like they're pushing 2026. Like there's constantly adding new teams.
And North Carolina is on the Jagermeister Cup list, and there were a lot of rumors that they were going to close down completely. So maybe they're staying in the championship. Maybe they're going back to League One. We don't know, but they're playing, which was something that I think a lot of people were questioning if they even would be. So I think that kind of even reinforces the growth.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know how, I was kind of expecting midweek play, midweek play, which is exciting because it is a very different thing. And one of my questions that I was going to ask you guys was, how seriously do you think Bob takes this competition? But if it's not midweek play and it's just during the weekend, there would be zero reason for him not to take this seriously. That you're not worried about resting guys. It's literally just, it's another game, and it's just the points are counting towards something else.
I think he takes it semi-seriously, but I think he also looks at it as a way to get guys that are not his top 14 players to get some game time, especially in the group stage.
It'll be interesting. I don't disagree with you, but I also wonder, if it is on a Saturday, is he going to feel comfortable letting some of his starters basically get a week off? Because going 2 weeks between games is a big stretch.
Yeah.
So,
I also wonder if that fan first encouraging attacking soccer stuff includes even more substitutions.
That's a good point. Because ostensibly what they're saying is there will be no draws.
Right.
So in group play, it has to finish with a winner or a loser. And that's it. Buckle up, man.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Yep. I'm so excited for it. A little bit bummed if that is the case that we're losing games in regular season, especially since I'm guessing these games are not going to be included in your season tickets. Right. Your season ticket just got a little bit less valuable if that's the case. Or they could be like, and it's included, and make it a big deal when really it's the same amount of games. So either way, we'll see.
Yeah. Also, I don't think I've ever had a Jagermeister, but I kind of dig the fact that it's the Jagermeister Cup. It just feels very hardcore, rough. It's just, there's something about it that I'm like, yeah, that's, it could have been something else that, I don't know.
Someone at the holiday party for the Steel Army said the same thing. And so someone went and immediately bought him a shot of Jagermeister. You have to do it. You have to do it. And I vacated the premises as soon as the shot was ordered. I'm like, some people don't like licorice. This might not go well. I don't want to be sitting at this table the first time this guy takes a shot.
Yeah.
Just in case. So
I like licorice, and I tasted it 18 years or so ago, and I didn't. It's licorice like. It doesn't taste like licorice.
Yeah, not a fan either. But It went well. He did not throw up. It was all fine. I was just be a precaution.
Good. Well, that's kind of a crappy note to end on, guys. What else? Anything else going on here that you guys want to talk about? I think that's most of the news that happened this past week. Anything else going on?
Soccer related? Not really.
Well,
that got back from Philly. I just got back from. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, this would be since 2017 going to Philly pretty much every year except for COVID year. So this convention has been going strong. It's getting bigger every single time, and it's a lot of fun. So it's the board game convention.
I was going to say you just said the convention. You got to give people the details. It looked like you came home with a haul, at least Liz.
We always go in thinking like, there's not that much we want this year. It's going to be a pretty chill PAX. We'll get some 2-player games, some small games, some stuff we can play at the pub together. It'll be fun. And then suddenly next thing I know, Liz comes walking back with a giant box that has like 7 editions of one game. It was a great deal. I'm like, and then I'm just as bad because I'm just like, I come back and like, yeah, this is an expansion of this game and then this game and this one. And, I got a demo. The guy was really nice.
Awesome. Awesome.
Josh and Liz are going to have to build a shed eventually just for their game collection.
We have a whole closet and it's already full. And I was looking at it the other day because I haven't put the new games in yet. I'm like, I don't think these are going to fit.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, that's all the news that's happened this week. In terms of like a programming note, we are going to try to do one more episode here before the holidays hit, and then we'll probably take a week off between Christmas and New Year's. Stay tuned because we're trying to do something special. We'll see if we can coordinate things accordingly, and that's as much as I'll say about that. Yeah, we always try to do something special towards the end of the year. I can't believe that it's already end of the year because literally we're going to get into January and we're going to be off to the races. So still so many conversations that we're looking forward to having, people we want to talk to, things we want to learn. We're going to try to introduce a few new video segments this off season. We've talked about maybe getting some tours of facilities and giving you a sneak peek behind the scenes of what's going on with both teams, which could be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thanks everybody. Yeah, we'll be back with more Hounds and Riveters content for you very, very soon.
Later.
See ya.